Good Thursday morning. It's September 9th, 2021. I'm Guy McPherson of Nature Bats Last, which you can find at guymcpherson.com. I will include links to the paper, to the two papers I'm going to talk about today at guymcpherson.com. This is a rare occasion for me. I am not presenting information from a peer-reviewed article. The article in question has not undergone peer review yet. However, it has been vetted at a professional meeting, and it's not as if this is such new and breaking information that it needs to undergo peer review to make sense. In fact, I produced a video on this very topic titled Means of Extinction, the Sun, the Sea, and Surprises, and I included the relevant references then at guymcpherson.com. That video was produced and released on July 12th, 2021, so just about 2 months ago. The title in the paper, Live Science, which is included at guymcpherson.com, on Monday, September 6th, 2021, is called An Internet Apocalypse Could Ride to Earth with the Next Solar Storm, Next Research Warns. We've known about solar storms for a long time. The best known of them is the Carrington event from quite a few years ago, and there's been another one since then. The subhead for this particular article at Live Science is the underwater cables that connect nations could go offline for months, the study warns. That's a long time. Months without internet service. And given the importance of the internet in connecting the world today, that sounds like a particularly dire situation, especially given the lead-in to what would almost certainly be a tremendous decline in aerosol masking. The paper in Life Science points out that the sun is always showering Earth with a mist of magnetized particles known as solar wind. That happens all the time. It's happening right now. But occasionally, every century or so, the wind escalates into a full-blown solar storm, and that's what's at issue here. As new research presented at SIGCOM 2021 pointed out, communication and other implications for such a solar storm could be catastrophic for our modern way of life. In short, a severe solar storm could plunge the world into an internet apocalypse. That's the phrase that's being used here. The paper has yet to be published in a peer-reviewed journal, as I already indicated. That's because I think this qualifies as breaking news. The paper has been vetted, the information has been vetted to the scientific community. It has not been published in a peer-reviewed article yet. The author, Abdu Jyothi, and I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correct at all, says, what really got me thinking about this is with the pandemic, we saw how unprepared the world was. There was no protocol to deal with it effectively. And it's the same with internet resilience, she says. Our infrastructure is not prepared for a large-scale solar event. No, it's absolutely not. The relative impact here is forecast to be about 1.6 to 12% per decade. That's how often we have the potential for this profound space weather influencing life here on Earth. 1.6% doesn't sound like a lot. 12% per decade, that sounds like a lot to me. That's an enormous risk. If you're an insurance company and something could occur at a 12% probability every decade, I think you'd take that pretty seriously. Of course, since the Carrington event in 1859, the world has become much more reliant on the global internet. It didn't exist in 1859. And now it is important to all of us for our daily lives, whether we're willing to admit it or not. The ability of maintaining supply chains from the grocery store to the hardware store depends completely upon maintenance of an internet that literally connects the world. The important point here is the long undersea cables that connect continents, which are really susceptible to significant damage. These Cables are equipped with repeaters that are spaced at intervals of roughly 30 to 90 miles. That's about 50 to 150 kilometers. And these repeaters are particularly susceptible to these geomagnetic storms. So this is something to be really concerned about. If enough undersea cables fail in a particular region, the entire continent could be cut off. Entire continents could be cut off from one another. What's more, nations at high latitudes, such as the United States and the UK, for example, and pretty much all of the, quote, first world, could be made useless, completely useless in terms of internet technology for weeks or months. The paper points out that in the meantime, millions of people could lose their livelihoods. It does not point out how many millions of people would lose their lives as a result of loss of aerosol masking. The economic impact of an internet disruption, because apparently that's all that matters in this country, is in the U.S. is estimated to be more than $70 billion. That's every day for a disruption in the internet. Turning to the paper that was presented at SIGCOM 21 between August 23rd and August 27th of 2021, the paper is titled Solar Superstorms Planning for an Internet Apocalypse. And the link is provided again at guymcpherson.com. The abstract indicates black swan events are hard to predict, rare events that can significantly alter the course of our lives. This paper investigates the impact of solar superstorms that could potentially cause large-scale internet outages covering the entire globe and lasting several months. Interestingly, from a hugely important perspective, this paper does not incorporate any information about the aerosol masking effect. There is no mention of aerosol masking. There is no mention of global dimming in this paper. I think, yet again, we have a professor who does not understand, is not aware of the importance or maybe even the existence of aerosol masking. If the internet goes down for months during the wrong time of the year, when industrial activity is at its peak, when plant growth is at its peak, that's going to be catastrophic. The resulting loss of aerosol masking could be sufficient to cause the extinction not only of our species through loss of habitat, but also many other species on the planet. I've talked about that issue before, again, a couple of months ago, and I would encourage you to follow the links in today's science update at guymcpherson.com and then go back and look at the previous information I presented, because I think it's just terrifying that there are allegedly informed professors out there who are completely unaware of aerosol masking. This is a tremendous part of climate change, and people who are studying climate change ought to know. That said, I didn't know for years, for decades in fact, after I began studying climate change, I didn't know for that entire period about aerosol masking until December 2011 with a paper by James Hansen and colleagues that didn't reference any previous work on the topic, stunningly. Anyway, try to put together another one of these science updates within the next week or so. Thanks for paying attention. Again, I encourage you to go to guymcpherson.com for all the details. Have a great Thursday.